See, just to show you how everyone's kind of got the right idea, but we just can't get our thoughts aligned, united. You know, like I said, Charlie Kirk was one of those guys that was the opposite of our generation, where we had cheap fame. We made it look like we were famous. We made it look like we were well known, and we're just individuals. Whether it was through graffiti, or it was through some subvertisement, which is where we take a major ad, a billboard, and then we change it, so that you think that we have this huge presence. And here you have Charlie Kirk, a man who's clearly hated and despised, and everyone wants dead, and yet he only has Secret Service, not at the baseball games when they're doing selfies, not out in the yard when they're carrying the kids. I could just ride up on a skateboard and shot him in the head. You know, but you know, it's not really worth your time to think about it, is it? It's better just to go along with the story. But even when you do that, you fail. You know, I have never seen one quote, except now I have. If that's what they planned on, that was smart. But after 6 weeks, a guy who is, I mean, at best, I mean, I've seen his debates, and I have just in my head watching him, just been like, that's not true, that's false, that's not true, that's not the Bible, that's St. Thomas Aquinas. I mean, and then people are like, ooh, like people come to watch him like it's WWF wrestling. I realize now why we never heard of him. You know, he's not taking our style. He's just like, he's not the typical to win. But they want to pump up that he was like around the world, because I don't think he's dead. No, I don't. I think the men carried him off. I don't think it was tranquilized. I think it was the. But I just know he's not dead. Let's just say I got a gift, and I have correlated that with other people. I've never said that about anybody in these cases. But he has not gone across the border into the. Well, if then there's another problem. If he hasn't gone across the border up to the heavens, then there's another problem. But why am I thinking Charlie Kurt Cobain? That doesn't sound like a real name to me. Neither does Erica Erickson. I guess it's her turn now. A woman who's in a beauty pageant owned by Donald Trump. I mean, I don't want to say it because, you know, I'm calling myself out, but talk about out of your league, bro. And how many of you wish, I mean, you know what I mean? Kurt Cobain did not want fame. He really didn't. He hated it. In fact, they say, if he really did kill himself, it was because he couldn't handle all this fucking attention and all these stupid questions. Charlie Kirk definitely wanted fame. This girl definitely wanted fame. I mean, on Wikipedia, I looked it up the day the assassination happened, and it said actress. And then she changed her demeanor, and she's like laughing and giggling about all the hours and hours of videotape. Oh yeah, you know, Charlie, he never wanted us to not record everything he said. Oh yeah, he had every time he was like, you got the camera on, you're recording what I'm saying. You're just giving him a platform to spout bullshit. He doesn't even know what DEI is. What was that one quote about, like, if I went into an airplane and I saw a black pilot behind as a pilot, I would be nervous to fly on that plane. Dude, do you know what DEI is? Or you believe in the whole hoax? Okay, you weren't alive then, but there was something called affirmative action that really applied to colleges, where if you had a white kid who went to a really nice school in the suburbs and was getting A's, but you had a black kid that was in the ghetto and didn't really get, very good teachers, but he got a B, but yes, you had to accept to get an education. In some cases, if they filled out the right paperwork, the kid who was deprived of an education. It's supposed to be equal. It's called, that's how forced integration happened. And I was a part of that, where we were forced to go to school. And then white kids went white flight. Parents took their kids out of school. My parents said no, and that was smart. Because I spoke fluent Spanish, I got along with the black guys, and now I'm well adjusted. I can go anywhere I want with a hood pass. But I rolled down my windows and unlocked my doors. You guys are still scared shitless. Talking about white power. You want to see white power? Come with me through the hood and they'll know it, just see it. Not because I'll shoot them, because I'm a badass. See, they won't shoot a white boy in the hood, guys. Because then the cops will show up and the FBI will show up. If they kill each other, they might get a cop to show up. Same with the Mexican hood. Well, don't tell me it's not true, I've seen it. But see, Charlie Kirk, that wouldn't work with his Republican agenda that he's pushing. I mean, you better push that. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not saying I wouldn't sell out either. But when you're making $23,000 and all of a sudden, look what you're saying. You're trying to tell me he doesn't look into the mirror and know exactly what questions are coming from a very small-minded generation that's not asking complicated questions. I mean, you want a complicated question, it'll tell you, what was in the one who wanted to make the perfect person in Nazi Germany? The Hitler and some of the scientists tried to make a perfect person, a perfect soldier. what was that called? What kind of science was that? It existed before, but you mean eugenics? Yes, eugenics, where they mix the mother and the father, but they take a lot of different ideas into accordance. So, like, even in the slave days, it was used. They don't like mentioning it, and it's racist to mention, but the largest black man they like put him together with the biggest black woman so they could create these large people who could harvest cotton quicker. I mean, it was terrible. It's terrible, but then again, maybe that is what's done. Maybe God does that sometimes. Maybe that's what, you know, God would know the formula. But you see, there's something called the Shroud of Turin. And what's amazing is you hear it's so many times rumors that, oh, well, that's not real, it's fake. I've heard that over and over and over again. When you think the big story would be, no, actually, they've carbon dated it to like almost down to the exact same time period, and they have other ones to compare it to. It would have to be from almost exactly within 10 years, and it does have actual DNA on it from the time that they claimed Jesus Christ died. It even has wounds on it that no other body has that was wrapped in something. And it's Jesus' shroud. So you're saying, well, how would that luckily get kept? What do you mean luckily get kept? It's probably something that they would keep for a long time. But see, when they took it to get carbon dated, they had to go to Sweden. And the rumor is that they basically cut a swatch off of it. Because, I mean, it's the blood of Jesus Christ. And that, you know, science is way ahead of what they're telling us. You know, they have stem cell research that can cure all kinds of things. You know, they didn't come up with a vaccine in 3 weeks. It takes 10 years. Either they had it ready before or they lied. So they can probably clone people. So if they're cloning Jesus Christ, that's back in the day. I mean, that's a crazy science. I'm not really for that. But, you know, that's what you call eugenics. What? A eugenics? So, see, if he wants to debate that, then we can handle it. Because he ain't that dude. He's getting paid $3 million by some unknown Republican donor living in Montana in a mansion and hates niggas. So I don't really give a fuck what he has to say. That's why he never stand in front of a Gen Xer. And when I've seen him go out in public where he's like in a theater, that's when he gets all hot and bothered and wants to go fight people and shit. That's when you don't see Charlie Kirk. You see the real man. You don't see Butch Johnson from Fake Parents in Indiana that lives in Arizona with a beauty queen. No, that's when you see the real cat, and he doesn't want to fuck around and find out. But he almost did one time when they asked him a question: who pays your salary? That's all you had to ask. And what the fuck, you guys? I mean, you got girls who would suck dick for $1,500. You telling me he was not going to go out there and spout that same Republican bullshit? They're not going to practice in the mirror the shit to say, because every black guy is going to ask you the same question about racism. Every woman's going to ask you the same question about abortion. I mean, how can you just practice and practice and practice? And by the way, he does not win every debate. There's not even a debate. He's just very well spoken and he gives a fucking answer. It doesn't mean it's correct. And sometimes he comes so sideways that it's just like you have to laugh, but they won't show you those clips. No, someone pays into obviously the news feed a lot of money and pays on Twitter, on Facebook, and everywhere else, where all of a sudden as if all these people are so adoring of him, like he's Einstein, that they're posting little clips of him. You're trying to tell me that's not a paid operation, where either a machine or an individual's group are posting those to make you think, to inflate the idea of an ego, meaning he didn't have an ego, but to make him look like a god. But, basically they had to crucify someone, so they faked it. But for the new religion, Christian nationalism, they just announced it, right? And then, is that true? They booked the area, that Farmers Insurance Stadium. They were never going to have a function there, but they booked it before he was dead for the same weekend that they had that big fireworks halftime show. You got to be fucking kidding me. I don't know the technologies that they have, but I do know the technologies they don't have, and that's, with God, and he's quoting shit out of the Bible. Classic case of the devil can cite scripture for his own purpose, because really right now, the Republicans are not reflecting anything with the Bible. They can pump it up all you want. But you won't hear them once mention that they do the number one sin all the time, and it's a lie. It's like a habit to them. It's like genetic to them. In fact, it may even be racist to say that. Why? Well, black people like fried chicken. Hey, Irish people like to drink. Hell, I like to smoke crack, and I'm not even black. But one thing Republicans do is fucking lie. And the biggest one that they've told that I've discovered by researching it and saying, you know what, we'll see what's up with that. At least right now, I'm not saying in the past someone didn't do this or didn't do that. This ain't 50-50. No. Republicans ain't getting paid money. Biden ain't getting paid any money. $2 billion. The people who produce our oil and then raise the prices and then they blame it on Biden. Go to Kushner, go to Trump. Now they're tearing down buildings and building it in his name. I mean, egomaniac is an understatement. I mean, it never occurred to you how embarrassing you're going to be once that cycle, once that season turn is over. What are you going to say then? You think we're going to forget about it like Epstein? You think we're going to forget about it like the Vegas shooting? Because these kids forget about shit a lot? Because, maybe they have something or some way to put through the, digital televisions we were forced to use so that you just coincidentally, Mandela affected. Because when you look back at all these things, even in recent history, and they always revolve around cowboys and Valley Girl millennial girls that have seen 20 different versions of bodies everywhere. Because it's a guy who broke up with his girlfriend, a girlfriend and a boyfriend. The boyfriend has a mass shooting. It's never happened before. They're always single. But he lost it at quarter slots in a hotel. So he has $100,000 worth of weapons in his room. And then shoots out bulletproof glass and then shoots up the whole fucking thing. Well, in the video they start running before the bullets even start getting shot. If they're even bullets, because everyone says they're firecrackers. And I think they were, with one guy with a rifle, take out 2 or 3, they'll just claim 80 are dead. I don't know what the purpose of that was, but look at the way the people ran with the Charlie Kirk thing. Look at the way they ran. I mean, damn, dude, this isn't the making of Boys in the Hood. That's not how they were running. They wouldn't have known what the fuck it was. Because mass shootings, they changed the definition of it. Back when we had a mass shooting, these motherfuckers had run around Columbine for an hour, putting a gun up to people's domes and blowing them off. You know who the kids were? Yeah, we fucked up. We picked on them. We had it coming. I mean, that's Gen X, homie. We fucked around with them. We gathered down with the trench coat mafia. I won't lie to you, man. We used to pick out some of those guys, And these guys were brutal. These guys really put it down. Now, and there's a fight with the media about this. Now, we can be at a party, and if I pull out a gun and shoot it in the air, but don't hit anybody, they can label that a mass shooting. And that is why you hear about mass shootings happening every day. There ain't no millennials getting hurt. For them, it's baby on board and Amber Alerts. I'm just keeping it real. Why you want to try to claim that you're hard and shit like Gen X? Not everyone learned their shit on MTV. Some of us were MTV. Look at your cats, dude. You ain't got anything. You ain't got no Kurt Cobains. You got no NWAs. I mean, it's Bad Bunny, but I don't even know who he is. Is he representing your crew? Is 6ix9ine the rat, the guy who went fucking folded? I mean, dude, there's other rappers that are in jail for life because they were keeping it real. But you're part of that, new human. Where real is important. It's just about, case, collect. That's how you're going to make your income, huh? I mean, sometimes you have some good shit on TikTok, but the problem is, you're just not recognizing that, it doesn't matter how old it is or what it is. You just want to make it different. But if it's real, it's awesome. All kinds of shit you guys do, I think is fucking awesome. That's real. That's original. I'm shocked when I see it. But otherwise, dude, you guys did the same jobs that we did at that age and are making less money. So don't think we don't support you. Don't believe all that hype video you see on YouTube. Trust me, in the Gen X crowd, those Midwestern, let me tell y'all, millennials, those Gen Xers, we don't fuck around. If you've got a Southern accent, you ain't really Gen X, bro. They're not. They can claim that they're not racist anymore, but we're the innovators because we were all going to school together, so we never knew what it was. That was the key. We never knew what it was, and I think God is a little more pleased with that. And X is a universal symbol for something, and it's not just in math. Well, in math, it's the unknown factor, and that unknown factor may be what X represents in Latin, what it represents in Greek. And we're just sitting back and taking advantage of. Just take the money, whatever, because we're not about money. But I'm just saying, at one point, when you have witnesses in your courtroom, we didn't know it's not going to count. And you are fake as fuck, it's not going to count. And then you're going to be like, I never did that. And when they play you a video of you doing that, yeah, my God, 2 big black ones too. Oh, yeah, then it's going to come back to you and you're going to remember. Because your God, the lying God, he has a way of erasing things from your mind. I've seen it every day. Happens to Trump all the time. In fact, they label it, they sugarcoat it. Instead of saying erasing your memory, what they do is they age regress. You see, if they erase your memory of bad things that happened, like if you're fighting with the media, or you get accused of rape, like Trump says he didn't do, but he talked about it in the bus. The same exact case. what happens is you don't look older. Isn't that interesting? So your age seems to be dictated by experience. And every president that comes out of the White House after he's in it comes out with long gray hair and looks tired. Trump got younger? Trump got younger. Really. He has no stress. I would think he would be super stressed, but I guess he's not, because truth is not burdening that man. I don't know when he's going to do something for this country. Otherwise, he's just doing a fucking tour like a rock band. No, a rock band actually spends more time in their own country, does more things for their own country, and doesn't fuck them in the ass. And have the common decency not to give them a reach around. That's Trump. And he doesn't want. He's admittedly scared of Gen X. He's scared to come into California. He won't announce it. That's why you make fun of Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom grabbed his arm and pulled him down. He met him out on the tarmac of the airport. He wasn't even supposed to be out there. Secret Service almost rushed to the governor. And he ran up and he grabbed Trump by the arm. I mean, Trump's face just went pale. I'll play it for you right now. You ain't got nobody in no state that can do that. Oh, except a whole generation that he doesn't want any part of. But he's writing a lot of bills to kill you. Yeah, you bet he is. You bet he is. So, don't act like you don't know when I'm dying. They're closing down the cartels and they won't give us health care. God will find a way. Because, he stands up for the generation that doesn't stand up for itself, but it stands up for everyone else. When you're like, fuck them. Because of a YouTube video. If kids are picked on, usually they do not pick on the ones below them. Because they know what it's like. You got artificial intelligence, so you can just spout out all this shit, but you don't really know what half the shit is that you're talking about, do you? You don't know what it's like. They're all about fashion.
Pandemic, you often said that you didn't believe that you should bail out blue states that you believe were being mismanaged. Given your criticism of Governor Gavin Newsom, are you willing to work with him, and do you believe that federal aid should be provided to California for as long as it takes?
Well, it's very sad because I've been trying to get Gavin Newsom to allow water to come. You'd have tremendous water. Pacific, because they're trying to protect a tiny little fish, which is in other areas, by the way, called a smelt. And for the sake of a smelt, they have no water. They had no water in the fire hydrants today in Los Angeles. It was a terrible thing. And we're going to get that done. It's going to finally be done. I got it done from the federal side, and he didn't want to sign it, but it's not going to happen again like that. There's no reason. Can you imagine? You have farmers that don't have any water in California. They have plenty of water. They don't have a drought. They send it out to the Pacific, and it's crazy. So what's happening in California is a true tragedy. I know those areas very well. I have many friends living in those houses. That is a true tragedy. Nobody ever thought. I mean, virtually Beverly Hills and areas around Beverly Hills are being decimated. The biggest homes, some of the most valuable homes in the world are just destroyed. I don't even know. You talk about a tax base. If those people leave, you're going to lose half your tax base of California. This is a true tragedy, and it's a mistake of the governor, and you could say the administration. They don't have any water. They didn't have water in the fire hydrants. They don't have water. And yet they have, the water comes from, where? Up north. And it comes down at levels, they give millions and millions of barrels of gallons of water that they have, and they send it out into the Pacific. For the Pacific, it's like a drop, it's nothing. But for California, it would take care of the whole state. So what's happened is a tragedy, and the governor has not done a good job. With that being said, I got along well with him when he was...
We want you to be back in your homes immediately.
But the people are willing to clean out their own debris. It doesn't
Yes,
cost
and
a
they
lot.
can,
You
and
should
they are
let them
able
do
to-
it, because
No,
by the
they
time you
can do
hire
that.
contractors, it's
Right.
going to be 2 years.
If a family...
People are willing to get a dumpster and do it themselves and clean it out.
And they can
There's
do
not
that.
that much left. It's all incinerated.
That's right.
And, you know, it's just going to take a long time if you do. You can do some of it, but a lot of these people, I know that guy right there that's talking. I know my people. You'll be on that thing tonight, throwing the stuff away, and your site it'll look perfect within 24 hours, and that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to wait around for 7 months till the city hires some demolition contract
If
that's going to
individuals
charge him
want to build-
$25,000 to do his lot.
Yeah.
I think you have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also.
I did exercise them.
Because I looked,
signed
I
an
mean, you have a
emergency
very powerful
declaration.
emergency power, and you
Yes.
can do everything within 24 hours.
Yes. And if individuals want to clear out their property, they can. Yes, but you know that you will be able to go back soon.
Mr. President.
We think within a week.
That's a long time, a week. I'll be honest. To me, everyone's standing in front of their house. They want to go to work, and they're not allowed to do it.
And the most
a
important
week
thing
is
is
a
for
long
people to
time.
be safe.
New setback for owners of burned homes in the Fountain Grove area. They already knew their water system was contaminated. Now they have learned how long it's going to take to fix the problem. ABC 7 News reporter Wayne Friedman is live tonight in Fountain Grove near Bella Vista Way. Wayne?
And not far away, we have more vacant lots, lots of vacant lots all over this area. The problem is benzene. Benzene in the pipes that run through the water beneath our ground. So yesterday, we learned how long it's going to take to restore those pipes, and that's going to hold back home reconstruction.
For Natalie Manning of Fountain Grove, this is all that remains of Home Sweet Home. A scraped lot, plans to rebuild, and now another problem piled on top of so many old ones.
It's sickening. I couldn't sleep last night, and it just makes me nervous. And
for some families recovering from the wine country wildfires, now there's a highly toxic chemical in their water. KPIX5 reporter Emily Turner is in Fountain Grove, where, to make matters worse, the city is stumped about the source. Emily?
Yeah, that source is yet unnamed, and that big question mark, as you can imagine, has the folks who live in these neighborhoods, folks who survived the fires, very concerned. Sam Marvey's house is one of 13 lucky enough to survive the fire, only for that luck to run out when he turns on the tap. He and a dozen of his surviving neighbors can't use their water, thanks to their fire-ravaged water system.
Do not drink, do not wash dishes, don't shower, don't do laundry, don't do anything that has to heat the water.
The threat is benzene, a cancer-causing chemical that somehow found its way into an isolated area of Fountain Grove's drinking water.
We're engineers, we're scientists, we're trying to solve problems, and we haven't been able to solve this.
They don't know the source, but they do know it's a dangerous problem. The regulatory limit is 1 part per billion. Some tests have turned up with 900 times that amount. So until it's fixed, the water in those 13 homes is basically unusable.
We've got 5-gallon waters, and we're kind of ad-libbing with that. And then they're gyms for showering.
Santa Rosa Water has isolated the area and tested outside of it to make sure no one else is affected. But some are still concerned and taking matters into their own hands.
Some people say what's left of it. Close to 26,000 people lived here before the Camp Fire. Today, officials believe it's as low as 500.
We're in Paradise close to 6 months since the Camp Fire started. This used to be an auto repair shop. And as we were driving through Skyway, a majority of the town still looks like this. Even though some homes survived the fire, people say they're unlivable. The water is contaminated and people are living off of bottled water.
Robin Gusti lives in Paradise and survived the Camp Fire.
You live up here, you expect this kind of stuff. You have to be ready for this kind of stuff. It happens.
Something she didn't expect was how she would be living 6 months later in her house left untouched by the fire.
It's kind of terrible when you have to sit there and know that you can't sit there and cook with it, or you can't drink it. So you have to go get bottles of water, bottles of water.
The Paradise Irrigation District is telling people to not drink or take baths with the water and use bottled water instead.
About 500 water samples were taken all around town from burned structures. When the test came back, they found out 30% of those samples had benzene in it.
It's just going to take a long time if you do. You can do some of it, but a lot of these people, I know that guy right there that's talking. I know my people. You'll be on that thing tonight, throwing the stuff away, and your site it'll look perfect within 24 hours, and that's what he wants to do. He doesn't want to wait around for 7 months till the city hires some demolition contract that's going to charge him $25,000 to do his lot. Yeah. I think you have emergency powers just like I do, and I'm exercising my emergency powers. You have to exercise them also.
I did exercise them.
Because you have a very powerful emergency power, and you can do everything within 24 hours.
Yes. And if individuals want to clear out their property, they can. Well, yes, but you know that you will be able to go back soon.
Mr. President.
We think within a week.
That's a long time, a week. I'll be honest. To me, everyone's standing in front of their house. They want to go to work, and they're not allowed to do it.
And the most important thing is for people to be safe.
They're safe. They're safe. You know what? They're not safe. They're not safe now. They're going to be much safer. A week is actually a long time, the way I look at it. I watched hundreds of people standing in front of their lots, and they're not allowed to go in. It's all burned. It's gone. It's done. Nothing's going to happen to it. It's not going to burn anymore. There's nothing to burn. There's almost nothing to burn. And they want to go in. The people are all over the place. They're standing, and I say, "Why aren't you going in?" We're trying to get a permit, and the permit's going to take them. Everybody said 18 months. You said 18 months. You said 18 months.
That was last night.
And that was last night. On that. Right.
That was the first time.
Yesterday.
Mr. President, we're going to be together next week, and during the interim, many of us are involved in, and Tom McClintock, who you know has been an expert on this for years.
That's right.
We are going to be putting conditions on the money that do two things: require that it be done timely and affordable, and then secondly, that we protect those who will come afterwards. As we speak, there are 6,000 acres burning in my district on the Mexican border. There will be more fires until we include in any disaster relief items which will prevent it or at least mitigate it from happening again. So you're going to
find conditions far from the best. Santa Ana winds are strong, gusty. Humidity and moisture content of the brush rock bottom. Fire danger extreme. At 8:03 a.m., a condition of high hazard is declared throughout the department. Standby companies are moved up to stations near brush areas to strengthen the circle of protection. But even as they move, trouble strikes. At 8:15, an alert of fire is relayed to the officer in command of mountain firefighting units.
Mountain Patrol and all units concerned. They reported brush fire in the mountain area, 3600 block Stone Canyon.
The division chief responds immediately. Clouds of brush smoke are already visible on the ridge. The chief calls for additional companies. The fire, starting from its point of origin north of Mulholland on Stone Canyon, spreads out along canyon walls in three directions. First arriving units succeed in stopping it on the north, east, and west flanks before it reaches threatened homes.
Unless we have companies that can lay into these individual houses, we are going to begin losing more houses on Roscommare. It has already jumped Brenda Flora going towards Sepulveda. There's houses going on both sides of the street in the 1700 block Roscommare. There are about 15 houses involved at the corner of Anzio Road and Roscommare. We're dispatching everything we have. There's a lady here having difficulty breathing. She's been sick and trapped in this fire. We have a school bus trapped 24 Roscoe Mare Road. The children are out, the driver and the bus are trapped. We've got a report of 4 people trapped on foot between Chelan and Roscoe Mare. We need help from the police department.
Areas of every residential section north and south of Sunset Boulevard. There is one chance. Every piece of firefighting equipment not actively involved in saving structures is being ordered to the area north of Sunset to head off the flames. Homes by the score disintegrate into white-hot embers carried high into the atmosphere by thermal columns of heat. Firestorms boil upward along residential stretches of Linda Flora, Chelan Road, Stradella, Samara, Chantilly. There is no clearly defined fire front. It's as if an enemy force had suddenly launched a paratroop attack behind the lines of defense. Sector chiefs attempt to maintain order where sectors no longer exist. Flames loom up in scores of homes on scores of streets. Firemen fight in smoke-imposed darkness throughout the fire areas. Some have no water, others have. In their concentration on the jobs at hand, none can know that 4 new crises are taking form. As ground crews respond, an air tanker is directed in ahead of their arrival to delay the fire's progress. And in Brentwood, a 3rd crisis. A mile and a half west of furiously burning Bel Air, a completely unexpected phenomenon takes place. Thousands of firebrands are literally dumped from the skies on this heretofore untouched section. In residential areas and hills above, the embers spread. From 60 to 70 fires suddenly blaze up, as if an aerial incendiary attack had been launched. Vitally needed equipment must be pulled from critical area. Victims, as well as those who merely read about the fire, ask the same question.
How can a brush fire get so far out of control within a well-protected city and do the things it does?
Let's analyze this fire and see what did happen. Some phases are difficult to explain. Why is a framework of bare wood left unharmed in a furnace of heat that crumbles masonry around it? Why does a roaring fire suddenly stop in heavy brush as if cut by a knife? Why do flames spare one house and consume identical dwellings on all sides? A general pattern of fire behavior, however, can be explained. Such attempts to save individual homes, firemen are further thwarted by the loss of water. How can a modern water system properly designed to meet emergency fire conditions fail to function? Meteorological department. Now the same picture increased to many times its original speed. Deep within the smoke, burning shingles carry a mile and a half to start new fires, as shown by black. In 1959, experts from the National Fire Protection Association surveyed portions of Los Angeles. They found a mountain range within the city, combustible roofed houses closely spaced in brush-covered canyons and ridges, serviced by narrow roads. They called it a design for disaster. They predicted the Bel Air fire, plus others which are sure to come, unless citizens and city officials work together on a definite plan of fire defense. The prediction was nothing new to firemen. They have their own ideas about people who don't like water pumping stations or fire stations in their neighborhood because they feel that they're unsightly. Or homeowners who refuse to cut brush away from homes because it mars the natural beauty of the hills. And those groups who maintain to the last glowing ember that combustible roofs are not hazardous in fire areas, despite the fact that over 600 cities have outlawed them. Firefighters are thankful that such is not the thinking of the majority of citizens. But it does not take a majority to start a fire or to feed a conflagration that burns out the careful along with the careless. You are only as safe as your neighbor. When you live in a hazardous area, you're gambling that fire won't start from hot ashes, a cigarette, children with matches, a faulty chimney, auto accidents, a firebug, fallen wires, or lightning. These are the odds. If you win, you get to keep what you already have. If you lose, fire, the winner, takes all. When the fire reached Bel Air and consumed homes in such numbers that firestorms resulted, thermal heat lifted burning shingles and brands 2,000 to 3,000 feet in the air. Caught in the upper-level wind currents, these burning brands were carried well over a mile across Sepulveda to rain down onto the Brentwood area. Scores of spot fires began spreading to present a new crisis. This action is demonstrated in these pictures taken by UCLA's Meteorological Department. Now the same picture increased to many times its original speed. Deep within the smoke, burning shingles carry 1.5 miles to start new fires, as shown by black smoke columns, which grow to join the main fire, approaching from the east. This leapfrog phenomenon, coupled with powerful, created a unique fire problem. As one of the nation's foremost conflagration experts puts it,
no one has ever faced this problem before. No definite line of defense could be found, and when a chain reaction of this type occurs, a fire department can do nothing more than pick out individual houses and try to save them.
Also at the Eaton fire now, Sophie.
Yeah, we are at a lake in New York, and you can see behind me here that the smoke is so thick behind us. That's as you get closer to the mountains, as you go up Lake and closer to New York. We know that the Eaton fire has already burned more than...
My old debate buddy, Charlie Kirk, is up to it again on the exact same topic where he has no business speaking and he never makes a sensical point when he does. So in a moment, I'm going to not only show you the classic, but I'm going to show you how I owned Charlie Kirk to his face multiple times, many times in a row.
Which is ridiculous, like asking me what my salary is. Sure, I'll reveal it willingly.
You brought it up in context. I'm asking,
no,
why don't you live like a socialist?
Okay.
Go live like a socialist.
The point is larger. The point is larger than that, Charlie.
I live like a capitalist every single day, Cenk. I live as a
Hey,
capitalist, okay? I live when I believe.
No.
What do I do? I get charity every single year.
Hold on.
What's my salary? Less than his.
Charlie,
Come on, Cenk, let's go.
Charlie, what are you doing? Sit.
Take a seat.
Psycho?
All right, no. Take a seat. You're gonna take a seat. You're gonna take a seat over here.
Oh my God.
What's my salary?
All right.
Ridiculous. All right, behave, everyone. Jesus Christ.
Okay.
I practice what I preach, Cenk.
Charlie.
Stop.
You do not practice what you preach.
Charlie.
All right, hold on. Last point. You don't.